Hey guys, today is Saturday, September 27th, 2025. And boy, do I have a decode for you guys. Been waiting to do this one. Been looking at October 7th. Just had it marked down, I don't know, a year or two ago. And a lot of times I just mark down potential watch dates. But as the days got closer, I gained a lot more evidence that shows October 7th could be a blackout. And yeah, this has got a lot of evidence here. So it's let me get into it. So blackout equals 85 and 22 in the first two ciphers, right? So October 7th leaves 85 days remaining in the year. Now look at this, guys. August 4th, 1977 is the founding date of the U.S. Department of Energy. And it is 17,597 days since that founding date. Well, look what we have here. The 322 skull and bones number. Backwards. 2023. The 2023rd prime. And by the way, electromagnetic pulse equals 223. And also 88. Well, there's a lot of 88s surrounding things that's been happening in the news lately. And I'm going to go through some of that. But it's also 64 days after August 4th, and 88 is the 64th composite number. So we do have a 223 and 88 connection to the U.S. Department of Energy. So besides, obviously, 85 days remaining in the year, 85 is blackout. Now, how about this? NERC, the North American Electrical Reliability Corporation, based in Atlanta, oversees 6 regional reliability entities and encompasses all the interconnected power systems of Canada and the United States, as well as a portion of Mexican state of Baja California. And that will be exactly 1,019 weeks, the 9/11 code backwards, right? Now, Barack Obama's birthday shares the same date as the founding day of the U.S. Department of Energy. You know, he did the movie Leave the World Behind about a blackout cyber attack. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but he will be exactly 64 years, 64 days old. You know, as I said, 88 is the 64th prime, and Barack Hussein Obama equals 64. And Chicago, he's from Chicago, and they lie along the very close to the 88th West Meridian. They're actually 87.6 or 7, but the suburbs of Chicago are actually in the 88th Meridian. But now we get to Leave the World Behind. He made this movie. It released on Netflix on December 8th, 2023. So that will be 22 months with the end date included to October 7th. Well, what does 22 equal? Blackout. 85 days remaining in the year on October 7th. We have the 322 backwards 2023rd prime from the U.S. Department of Energy being founded. So, well, what did Obama do right after that movie released on Netflix? He went into the classroom full of children reading a book, Santa's Gotta Go. But on that, right on the wall here, it says all about that V. All about that V is the number 22. So 22 months, as I said, after his movie will be October 7th. And he visited this classroom in Chicago on December 12th. Well, with the end date included to October 7th, it's 666 days. Look at the founding date of Chicago from the founding date that Illinois became a state, right? It's 6666 days. And Chicago actually has a zip code that's 60606. As I said, Chicago lies along the 87 meridian, very close to the 88th. And the number of beast equals 87, and 666 equals 87. So as I said, the release of Leave the World Behind was on 12/8. Barack Obama will be exactly 64 years, 64 days on October 7th. When you add that together, it equals 128. Barack Obama was actually born exactly 128 weeks before Michelle Obama. And last year on March 26, 2024, that was the date that the Key Bridge collapsed at 1:28 a.m. And there were people making videos that showed many connections to Obama's movie and the collapse of that bridge. I'm not going to get into that in this video. But we have the 128 connection if you add Obama's age, right? Even Michelle Obama's birth. Look at, we have the 223 backwards because she will be 22,544 days. Well, this number is equal to the 20,023rd composite. You look at the movie Hackers, released on September 15th, 1995. We have a 322 connection with that as well. 30 years, 22 days. By the way, back in August of 2020, I said to watch this date for a possible cyber attack. I actually made a video talking about August 25th, 2020. And one of the connections was to this movie Hackers. It was 911 days after the movie was made. And you know what happened? The New Zealand stock market was hit by a series of offshore distributed DDoS cyber attacks that actually shut down the stock market 4 days in a row, starting on August 25th. So the main character in the movie was called Zero Cool. And the gematria lines up perfect with hacker and cyber attack because 109 is the same as in cyber attack, 46 like in hacker, 107 like October 7th as in hacker in Latin, and 35 as in hacker. And by the way, hacker also equals 28. This is the 280th day of the year. Now we had Ozzy Osbourne die this year. And what is he known as? He's known as the Prince of Darkness. He died on the anniversary that this movie was made, that it released in the United States. July 22nd, right, 2016. And he died, the Prince of Darkness, died on the anniversary of Lights Out. And Prince of Darkness equals 78 in reduction. Well, October 7th will be 78 days time span from the death of the Prince of Darkness. And if you look at its premiere date, the Los Angeles Film Festival, June 8th, 2016, from that date to October 7th, it's 112 months exactly. Well, Lights Out in reverse equals 112, the name of that movie. Not only that, from the main release date in the United States, July 22nd, 2016 to October 7th, it will be exactly 9 years, 11 weeks, 9/11. And there was actually a book called Lights Out by Ted Koppel, the news anchor. From the day that that book was published to October 7th, 9 years, 11 months, 10 days. You can rearrange this to 9/11/01. We have another big 9/11 connection to when the Declaration of Independence was signed. This can also be rearranged to 9/11/01. It was signed on August 2nd, right? It was adopted on July 4th, but actually signed on August 2nd. Now look at this, guys. Blackout Tuesday. So Blackout Tuesday, a collective action to protest racism and police brutality. The action originally organized within the music industry in response to the murder of George Floyd the murder of Ahmaud Arbery and the killing of Breonna Taylor. So this took place on June 2nd. If you guys remember, many people on Facebook had their pictures black, protesting on this day. They removed their picture. It was just black. Blackout Tuesday it was called, right? That was on a Tuesday, and that was on June 2nd. Well, from that day to October 7th, 1,953 days. Well, what is that? That is the 60-second triangular number, right? And what is October 7th? It's on a Tuesday, and it has numerology of 62. 10 plus 7 plus 20 plus 25. And look at United States blackout equals 62. Now there's even a connection with Charlie Kirk to this. So Charlie Kirk has the same birthday as George Floyd, right? Different year, but same birthday. Well, he actually has the same birth year as Breonna Taylor. But Breonna Taylor was born on June 5th. Oh, that was the day that Turning Point was founded, June 5th. So what about Ahmaud Arbery, May 8th? Well, Charlie Kirk was married on May 8th. I mean, he has the connection to all three of these, right? And Charles James Kirk equals 64 and 107. So right now, I want to trail back a bit to September 29th. I made a video. It's still two days away, but my last video, I talked about this date with war and the connections with World War III. And right here is from the movie Snake Eyes. Most of you probably know, because it's going viral right now, the connections with the movie Snake Eyes and the killing of Charlie Kirk. So in the movie, Charles Kirkland gets killed, and this happened during a boxing match, and the executioner Tyler actually goes down in the ring as Charles Kirkland gets shot. So there's many other similarities in that movie, in this scene, but it's viral. It's everywhere, so you can watch it, wherever. I mean, Decoding with Cody, Rambo, and Ball Don't Lie. It was brought up originally, as far as I know, on their live stream, and from there it just went viral. But in the movie, they it looks like they were fighting on September 10th. Okay, that's when Charlie Kirk was killed, right? But it's actually September 19th. But you really can't tell. I was fooled too. Looks like September. I watched the movie and it was hard to tell, unless maybe you have a high definition TV. But anyways, the actual date is September 19th. And it's interesting because 19 days after Charlie Kirk was shot will be 9/29. So I have connections with Israel, Netanyahu, his birthday, a 9/11 code, the birthday of the president of Iran, the 71st birthday, World War III equals 71. The day Israel was attacked on October 7th, 2023 was Putin's 71st birthday. And in the movie, they do discuss a weapons arms deal concerning Israel and stuff. So there is talk about Israel in the movie. But I wonder if the 19th is there for a reason. Not only did they make it look blurry so it looks like the 10th, but 19 days, so it can be looked at as two separate numbers, 19 or 10. A lot of people are confused. But 19 days after the 10th is the 29th. And 19 is the 8th prime. This is also 8 days after Charlie Kirk's funeral. This is also 8/8 on the Chinese calendar. We're in the Chinese Year of the Snake. It's also 8 months after the Year of the Snake began on January 29th. It's also 8 weeks after Obama's birthday. And the number 8 can be connected to a snake as well, because it shows the snake eating its own tail, the number 8. This doesn't have to be the number 8. It can be a complete circle like a 0. This is called the Ouroboros. And Ouroboros equals 138 and 48, just like Donald Trump. You know, he's known for reading the snake poem at least about 3 times, and he's president in the year of the snake. You know, this shooting happened in the year of the snake. That's this year, and 138 days prior to 9/29 is Israel's founding birthday, May 14th. So now I want to look at some more connections with October 7th. Just the gematria. As I said, blackout equals 85, 85 days remaining in the year. How about nationwide blackout? 107, like the date, 10/7. United States Blackout Tuesday. Remember, this is a Tuesday. That also equals 85. Even solar flare, which can also cause an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, right? Nationwide power outage equals 107. And again, United States blackout equals 62. Now, speaking of solar flare, back in 1859, on September 1st, they called it the Carrington event. It was the largest solar flare ever known. That we didn't have the instruments to record it, actually. But it wiped out the telegraph machine, and it would have wiped out major parts of the electrical grid had we had electricity back then. But it took 17 hours to hit the Earth, and it happened on September 2nd. Look at the numerology of this. It happened on 88 numerology. Again, solar flares create an electromagnetic pulse, EMP, which equals 88. And from September 2nd, the day it hit Earth, to October 7th, 60,666 days. It's interesting because I just said Chicago lies along the 88th meridian and was founded 6666 days after it became a state. And we have Charlie Kirk, who's from Chicago, right? He was just shot. And his name equals solar flare in 3 ciphers, 107, 163, and 64. How about this? Nicolas Cage. Another movie with Nicolas Cage. He was in the movie Knowing. Look how old he will be. 3-2 weeks. 1-3 multiple 2s is what I look at for the Skull and Bones code. And we have it with the birth of Nicolas Cage. And look at this. The largest solar flare ever recorded, when we had instruments to record it, on November 4th, 2003, was exactly 8,008 days apart from October 7th. So not only am I looking at a blackout for October 7th, I'm going to show you guys why I think a blackout may happen for 7 days, ending on Charlie Kirk, George Floyd's birthday, from Tuesday to Tuesday, Blackout Tuesday, right? You know, it wasn't until the death of George Floyd that we had Blackout Tuesday. And it's interesting, the Mayan long count their calendar. So this never repeats, but on 10/14, October 14th, it will be 13/0/13/00 on the Mayan calendar. Now I want to show you something from iPet Goat 2. So I'm going to play this at half speed. So the room goes dark, right? It was lit, now the room is dark. And she's about to drop the apple. The apple has a spot on it. Again, this is multi-layered. I'm sure that the spot is like the spot of Jupiter, but I believe that this represents the Earth. And she drops it, and I believe it's the rotation of the Earth. You can count the number of times you see the spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, And what do we see right here? We see a dark 7, right? I believe this is the rotation of the Earth, revolving 7 times. The room goes dark, and then, it's dark for 7 days. We see a black 7. Dark for 7 days. That's why they made this black. This can also be L, right? LC or C7, but anyways, they made this black. Then the apple splits into 2 8 shapes. 8, 8, right? What is the next day, or October 14th, with the end date included? It will be 8,800 days after 9/11. So actually, I'm looking at October 15th to be significant as well, because I think the stock market may be closed due to a blackout, then reopen on October 15th. And, the Big Apple, that's where the stock market, the Dow is from, the stock exchange, New York, the Big Apple. And it splits open. Look at the number of days from the first attack on the Trade Center in 1993. It's 11,911. So, 9/11 forward, backwards. It's also 123 on the Jewish calendar. Why is that significant? Because before the apple splits, 8,800 days after 9/11, then 2 8 shapes, it rolls next to the L and the C. Well, L is the 12th letter, C is the 3rd letter. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 in the Jewish calendar. We even have more to this with the 88, because not only does this girl represent and look like Erica Kirk, dressed in white, the blonde hair, but from Alice in Wonderland, she has the white rabbit behind her. And last year, Linda Levan died. She was the star of Alice. She played the character Alice. And if she was still alive, it would be her 88th birthday. You see, October 15th, 88th birthday. And this leaves 77 days remaining in the year. Has a numerology of 70. I'm looking at a blackout for 7 days. The market opening up, crashing on October 15th. The 88th birthday of the woman who played Alice. 8,800 days after 9/11. The apple splits into 2 8s. It's perfect. So actually, just the day before Charlie Kirk died, one of the major stars died that played in the sitcom Alice on 9/9, Polly Holiday. And I'm looking at this date also on 9/29, which comes 88 years, 88 days after Polly Holiday's birth. Remember I said 9/29 is also 8/8 on the Chinese calendar. And it will also be 8 months after the year of the snake began, as I'm showing right here. But what is October 7th? October 7th is also 8 months, 8 days after the beginning of the year of the snake. So I'm going to show you this video. I did it once before, but I want to do it again because there's more connections with this to the dates that I'm talking about. Christine Lagarde, the head of the IMF, no longer is the head of the IMF, but she made this speech about the economy and the magic number 7.
Test your numerology skills by asking you to think about the magic 7. Okay? Most of you will know that 7 is quite a number in all sorts of themes, religions, and I'm sure that you can compress numbers as well. So, if we think about 2014, all right, I'm just giving 2014. You drop the 0, 14, 2 times 7. That's just by way of example. We're going to carry on. So 2014 will be a milestone and hopefully a magic year in many respects. It will mark the 100th anniversary of the First World War back in 1940. It will mark the 70th anniversary. 70th anniversary? Drop the zero.
She said 70th twice.
Of the Bretton Woods Conference that actually gave birth to the IMF. And it will be the 25th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. 25th.
When she talked about the Berlin Wall, she said 25th twice, right? We're in the year 25.
It will also mark...
So, now let me show you guys something. So remember she said 70th twice, October 15th. Has the numerology of 70. And it's also leaving 77 days remaining in the year. And she talked about the fall of the Berlin Wall, which happened on 11/9. And then she said 25th twice. We're in the year 2025. Well, International Monetary Fund equals 11/9, like the fall of the Berlin Wall. And she made this speech on January 15th, 2014 to October 15th. 11 years, 9 months. 11/9, 119 equals International Monetary Fund. Get it? And we have the double 77 connection. And we have a numerology of 70. It's perfect for this date. Not only is it perfect in regard in this image, but look at here. You take the founding date of the IMF to October 15th. 29,671 days. Look at the prime number, 3220, 3,220th prime, the skull and bones number. Now look at these other 7 connections. Again, I said she talks about the magic number 7, blackout beginning on the 7th, I believe lasting for 7 days, from Tuesday to Tuesday, Blackout Tuesday. Market opens up, and I believe it may crash with 77 days remaining in the year. 9/29, I'm looking at as a war date, as I made the previous video about. It's 7/7 on the Jewish calendar. It's 77 weeks after the April 8th, 2024 total solar eclipse over the U.S. It's the 17th anniversary, 17 as a 7th prime, after the Dow closed down 777 points on the largest drop during the 2008 financial crisis. So now I'm going to go back and show you some more connections with the number 88, as I showed you guys. Electromagnetic pulse equals 223 and 88. We have these connections with the Department of Energy, U.S. Department of Energy, to October 7th. Both numbers connect, right? As I said, 64 years, 64 days. We have the 88 connection with Obama. Obama's actually looking down at the split apple. You know, it hits his foot here. And Chicago lies near the 88th meridian west. So it runs right through the suburbs of Chicago. And Obama was in the classroom with the kids again. And 4 days after he made this movie, all about that V, 22 months after his movie was made, October 7th. And he was here in this classroom 666 days apart. And how about from the birth of Obama to the founding date of the U.S. Department of Energy? 16 years. What is 16? 8 plus 8. It's also 192 months. His movie, Leave the World Behind, equals 192. How about Charlie Kirk, who is from Chicago? Remember I said Chicago is actually 87.6, but he was in Arlington Heights, from the suburbs of Chicago. Well, there's a point in Arlington Heights, which lies exactly along the 88th meridian. I just clicked on several locations, and I found this one, 88.00083. So, interesting. Obama and the Pope from Chicago. The Pope was elected 88 days from Obama's birthday. Charlie Kirk, born 457 months, 88th prime number from the Pope, who's from Chicago. Now I have just a couple more slides I want to show you. I want to refer back to the movie Snake Eyes. I was looking in the movie, wondering if there's some kind of connection to a blackout. And at the end of the movie, I found something. So, right here is the Powell Millennium. It's where they fought the boxing match, right? Right below that is the advertisement for Tyler, the Executioner versus Bruce. But this is a globe of the Earth. And at the end of the movie, they show this globe sparking, electricity sparking. Then it disconnects from the electrical wires and it's rolling. So it's no longer connected to electricity. It reminds me of Lily dropping the apple in iPet Goat 2. The rotation of the Earth. It's rolling. And I don't remember if it's this image or right here, but in the movie I could see North America. This one is easy to see. Right here, it's Africa. But they were showing North America as a part of it, right? So North America being blacked out. Again, it disconnects. It loses electricity. It disconnects from its wiring. And while this is going on, Hurricane Jezebel is occurring. And the waves hit from, it's almost like a tsunami wave, really, but I guess the storm surge waves, they hit as this globe is rolling. What if we have a blackout and Hurricane Jerry hits? You know, like Jezebel was the hurricane in this movie. J-E it started with. J-E. Hurricane Jerry equals 88. Right now, we have storms Humberto, hurricane, and Imelda forming. What if during the time of October 7th to October 14th, during this blackout, we have Hurricane Jerry hit? It would be interesting because this equals 88 and it's the next named storm. But anyways, guys, we're going to see what happens on the 29th. And I'm actually looking to prepare to lose power for 7 days. Now, I don't know how accurate I'm going to be, but I showed you guys plenty of evidence for me to actually take precautions myself for this to happen. 7 days is kind of a long time. People are going to freak out if that actually occurs. So, because they don't know when the power's coming on if that happens, and if an EMP were to hit, an electromagnetic pulse, and let's say Chicago would be the center point because it lies along the 88th meridian. Not only do you lose power, but you can't even drive your car, because that's what happens when, like in the movie War of the Worlds, Tom Cruise, he's driving like the only car that's working. All the other cars don't work. But yeah, I think things are about to get kind of crazy here. We're going to see, and I will talk to you guys next time. Take care.